Thank you for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and thank you for subscribing. All right, we get a look at the big picture here, and I want to look ahead down the road to the next more significant winter storm system that will be moving in. There'll be an initial one kind of pulling from west to east, a lot of moisture building in Central America, and then we'll see some of those spotty showers for us in parts of the Eastern Caribbean. There's actually going to be a little warm up, then we'll get that first system moving in, but it's that second one that will once again dive down to the south and bring some snow and ice to unusual places, and then eventually clip by parts of the Caribbean. Here's what's going on right now. Now, a lot of us, Canada, back through the United States, down into the at least northern Caribbean, we have some of the chillier, some colder weather that's in place. There's some of that lake effect snow back toward the Great Lakes, and then I'll show you that first system that we'll be building from west to east, but it's really that second one that will be a little more unusual, as that one will dive once again down to the south. Now you can see here we have some of that colder air sweeping through parts of the Bahamas, back through Cuba, watching some of the rain building in Guyana and Suriname. I'll show you the forecast for that, and then we're going to see this moisture feed once again, bringing some additional rain to Belize and Honduras. So let's start with the big picture together. Now, we had that bigger system that brought some of the snow to very unusual places the last few days. That front has moved off toward the east of Bermuda, clipping by the northern Caribbean, watching the rain building. Some of this rain that will be lifting up to the north will eventually feed in for that first system. And remember, that first system is going to be a little more typical. So let's go out in time here. This is by the time we get into Saturday afternoon. You can see over toward Texas and Louisiana, some of that moisture, some of that rain starting to lift to the north, and then we'll see that energy coming out of the Rocky Mountains, and you see right there starting to combine for our next system. This one, not rare. We're going to see some rain in some spots watching the Mississippi River Valley, and it's not really going to dive down to the south in the Caribbean. I mentioned more of that west to east motion. So with that, we'll have a southerly flow out ahead of it. I want to show you in a moment a big warm up before we get the next big chill. So let's go out in time further. You can see this is by the time we get into next week. So this is by Tuesday of next week, Wednesday of next week. So here we're looking 6 days in advance. And this gives me a good feel of what I could give you a heads up on. We are going to see another front move by, pretty similar to what we just saw. We get a front moving by that allows that cold air to be in place first, right? So that cold air is in place, and then once again across the southern United States coming out of Mexico, you see some of that rain that's going to be building here. Well, that cold air is going to meet some of this, and that is going to allow for some ice and snow again across parts of the southern United States. Is it going to be as far south? I don't believe so. But you could see it here as this moisture lifts up to the north. It meets that cold air that's in place from that front that's over toward Bermuda. So that cold air surges in, and watch this pink shading here. That would either be a mix of rain and snow, or some sleet, which are ice pellets, or just simply some kind of icing, some frozen precipitation as a whole. Could be some freezing rain. And look how that does dip down into parts of, again, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas once again. So not as far south, not as significant with that snow, but this is going to dip to the south, and that means we're going to see that trailing front as well get a little bit more down to the south. Once again, Bahamas, parts of Florida, Cuba, near the Cayman Islands, even near Jamaica, we could see that front that will be eventually sliding by with some of that colder air. Again, this is out in time. This is early by next month. So this winter system will be a little more significant than the one we're going to be seeing building the next few days. Now look how the temperatures play into this. Now the cold air, the big plunge of colder air, that's in place for a lot of us. Northern Caribbean, not for all of us, of course, back through the southern United States. Then watch what happens. So the cold air in place for a few days for some of us, And then by the time we work into next week, we're actually going to see some of this cold air retreating to the north. We're going to get some of that warmer weather moving in. So that first little system moving by, kind of more typical. You even see parts of Mexico, Central America, across the Caribbean. If we've had some of those chillier nights, we're going to get some milder nights, warmer nights by the time we get into next week. The Arctic air is going to be up to the north. But then, just in time for that second storm system, that bigger storm system I was just showing you, you can see by the time we get into the end of the month, look what happens here. Some of that Arctic air plunges a little bit more down to the south. So yeah, we had that warm up, but then we start to lose that warm up. That colder air once again starts to move into parts of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, just in time for that next storm system. That's why there could be a snow or icing event into parts of the southeastern United States by the time we get into early next month. Now, looking at some of that snow cover, of course, those highly unusual places today, this is where some of that snow cover is not going to be falling today. It's what we already had. This is just where the snow is on the ground. And then looking ahead, let's jump ahead here. This is by the time we get into Sunday, February 2nd. So this is that bigger storm system. You could still see, while there won't be snow on the ground in some of these spots in Louisiana back toward parts of Texas, look at the dip in some of the snow right in through here. So monitoring this, here's parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas again. We could see maybe some snow or just some kind of a wintry mix or even some icing. That's going to be a big concern for the potential of maybe an ice storm as we get down the road. So just giving an early heads up on that. And yeah, that front will sink down into parts of the Caribbean. Speaking of which, we've had that rain kicking up. Guyana and Suriname, we're going to see that today. Spotty showers for us in the Eastern Caribbean, anywhere from Trinidad back through Barbados and Dominica. But some extra rain here. Keep an eye on Belize and Honduras. The rain is going to be building the next couple of days. This is by tomorrow afternoon. You see a hit or miss shower for us, Eastern Caribbean over towards St. Vincent the Grenadines, Anguilla, Antigua, Barbuda, but there's some additional rain here. Belize, Honduras, so watching over toward Roatan, Hopkins, Ladyville, and then right on the edge of Cancun and Cozumel. Not as much in Merida, a little bit more on the east side of the Yucatan Peninsula. Still those scattered areas of rain, Belize and Honduras as we work our way into the upcoming weekend. This is on Saturday. Little front trying to dip by, hit or miss shower, Cayman Islands. Not as much in Jamaica, and still watching out for this active pattern in the Eastern Caribbean, in particular Southeastern Caribbean, and then back toward Guyana and Suriname. All right, north side of all of this, that bigger storm system did move by, so keep an eye on Bermuda. A little couple pieces of energy here. We have the cold air, of course, in place. I mentioned some of the lake effect snow. Watching over toward Cape Cod. Most of the action should stay just off toward the south and east over the next day or so, but by the time we get into tomorrow morning, watching Nova Scotia over toward Newfoundland, south side, Avalon Peninsula, we may get clipped by some snow showers by the time we get into tonight and tomorrow morning. And this energy, this kind of mini front, will also clip by Bermuda with that chance of rain that will be nearby. Then on Saturday, most of the action, most of the precipitation, the rain, the snow would be off to the east, but that colder air will, of course, be in place. That's just kind of reinforcing the cold air. The seas on the rougher side, you see, back through parts of the Caribbean today, and really keeping an eye on those Atlantic waters. This is meters here, feet on the right-hand side of your screen. This is by the time we get into this afternoon. Then tomorrow, look at that, Pacific side, Bay of Campeche, the seas are going to be building. I mentioned that energy, that rain building in parts of Honduras and over toward Belize. Higher seas will be around as we work our way into the weekend. There we go, the Atlantic waters, the Atlantic passageways, monitoring that. We are going to see choppy to rough seas. As far as the rain goes, rain totals in many spots really not too high. We may get brushed by a shower, Bahamas, Cuba, Cayman Islands, and Jamaica. We could have a hit or miss shower from Jamaica back through Haiti and the Dominican Republic. If we do, the rain totals are just simply not going to be high. Puerto Rico, Anguilla, St. Martin, Saba, Statia, St. Kitts and Nevis, the rain rain chance not super high, so rain total's not too high. We may get brushed by 10 millimeters of rain, maybe a little bit more in some spots over toward Trinidad. Keep an eye on a passing shower in Grenada, but we get back through Guyana and Suriname. That's where we could get some totals of 75 millimeters of rain or 3 inches of rain or more. And then again, as I've been highlighting, Belize and Honduras, we could do that 75 millimeters of rain or 3 inches of rain or more in some spots, especially closer to the water, northern Honduras, eastern sections of Belize, and just keeping an eye on near the waters of Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. Mexico City, we're not going to see a lot, but then we'll see this moisture again feeding up toward the north, toward Texas, toward Louisiana, which will play in to the next storm system. So rain chance for us in Jamaica, only 20 to 30%, just about a 10 to 20% chance in the Cayman Islands. Isolated shower, Trinidad and Tobago, more of it is just off toward the south. So for us, we're going to see a 30% chance, but in Barbados, we could get a couple passing showers. 40 to 50% chance. I'll be watching your comments the next couple of days in St. Lucia, about a 40% chance. 20% chance today in Grenada, but we're going to have about a 40% chance for tomorrow. 30 to 40% chance the next 3 days, St. Vincent the Grenadines, and about a 50% chance today in Martinique and a 40% chance tomorrow. A few showers nearby in Dominica today, rain chance 30% tomorrow. 40% chance today in Guadeloupe, 30% chance tomorrow and Saturday. And we do that again in Antigua, Barbuda, even down to a 20% chance by Saturday. But we could see an isolated shower today, a few around St. Kitts and Nevis. We're looking at about a 40% chance over toward Montserrat, and Anguilla and St. Bart's, 20 to 30%. So again, not very high. St. Martin, Saban, Statia, 30% chance the next couple of days, 20 to 30% leading into the weekend for us in Puerto Rico. U.S. British Virgin Islands, tomorrow, Saturday, rain chance on the low side, and staying on the low side in the Bahamas. We have the colder nights next week. Things will be warming up. Turks and Caicos mainly dry. A few isolated showers, though, possible in the Dominican Republic. 40% chance tomorrow, and it does bump up a little bit in Haiti. Not a lot, but by Saturday, a 30% chance. We swing back toward Belize. This is where the rain chance is higher. A good 60% chance building the next couple of days. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, isolated shower, just that easterly feed that will be around. Then we swing back toward Guyana, watching out for some isolated areas of flooding. Guyana over toward Suriname. Suriname, we're up to a 70% chance of rain for today and a 60% chance for tomorrow. Very isolated, very low chance in Cuba, the colder nights, but they'll be warming up some next week. Costa Rica, Panama, 40 to 50% chance, 50% chance in Nicaragua. Then we lift to the north, and you see in Honduras tomorrow and Saturday. As I mentioned, along with Belize, the rain chance will be getting higher, so watch those comments. Guatemala and El Salvador, rain chance about 20%. We're mainly dry in Mexico City. The colder nights have been with us. With that said, next week temperatures start to bump up. Yucatan Peninsula, about a 40% chance. So watching the eastern side, as I said before. Northern Colombia, mainly dry. Just about a 20% chance of rain the next couple of days in northern Venezuela. 40% chance of rain tomorrow in Bermuda. 50% chance on Saturday with these fronts hanging around. So some cooler air now in the northern Caribbean. The rain building in multiple spots. Belize, Honduras, back toward Guyana and Suriname. So watching out for some isolated areas of flooding, and then watching the next winter systems, and in particular that bigger one that will once again be moving down to the south once we get into early next week. So I hope you have a great day ahead. I'll be watching the comments. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being part of this weather community and taking the time to subscribe. Have a great day.